Education is a privilege. As students, we face so many challenges, some local in our communities and personal circles, and some systemic in nature that prevent us from achieving our dreams. The hardest challenge for me was waking up in my dorm room winter of 2019. Thanksgiving break had just ended and finals were just a week away. There was a news headline that popped up, a new virus discovered in China. But my friend, who was sick at the time, said, "Oh, I got the virus." Thankfully, it wasn't airborne. Despite the news, the world hadn't stopped. Lectures became sparsely attended exam review days, and students prepared for their plans once winter break started. Although I didn't know it at the time, that was the last semester I was a high-achieving honors student. The beginning of 2019 began with my stepfather dying, and it ended with my mother dying. With her death began a month full of anxiety, terror, and panic. For me, the world had stopped. Although I didn't know it at the time, I was suffering with a disorder called acute stress disorder. It's a disorder characterized by extremely severe reactions to short-term trauma. I had flashbacks, I had dissociation, I had nightmares, and I had extreme sensitivity to any siren-like noise. Police sirens, fire trucks, and even microwaves. So why didn't I just quit my university? Through their deaths, I was effectively homeless. With my university, I had housing with my dorm. I had a work-study job. I had access to a food pantry. I had access to short-term brief counseling, but without a formal diagnosis, I could not get the accommodations I most needed. I was just another student. Despite that, I persevered. I've outlined 3 steps to building perseverance: mindfulness, building a community, and taking calculated risks. Now, these steps are more like guidelines. They're not meant to be followed to a T. They're not meant to be followed to a T, ignorant of life stressors. Like if you had told me I would be delivering a speech just days after a major surgery, I wouldn't believe you. These steps are here to make life a little less chaotic, a little less overwhelming, and a little less stressful. The first step to building perseverance is mindfulness. Now, mindfulness, in my opinion, is the act of acknowledging any sort of thought you have without judgment. It's like a butterfly fluttering past. We're trained to be on our phones, ignorant of life, and we see the butterfly pass us, and we'll get irritated, and maybe the irritation lingers the rest of the day. Mindfulness tells us that we can have that irritation and let it go without judgment. It is awareness, understanding, and acceptance. The second step to building perseverance is by building a community. Now, building a community is important because we're just one person. We can't handle the world, we can't handle systemic issues all alone. By building a community, it gives us relief. We're not alone in our struggles. Now, for those of us, building a community can be very overwhelming. Some of us, we've been hurt in the past by our communities. Some of us, we work full-time jobs, we're too busy to have a community. And some of us, we've been hurt so much in the past, we no longer trust ourselves to have a safe community. For some of us who struggle with trusting ourselves, I recommend you try going to maybe like small knit organizations, close knit organizations, or maybe try group therapy sessions where you can have professional expertise. For those of us who have really strict jobs, who need that money, it may be more helpful to build a community online where location and time aren't that important. And for those of us who can't trust ourselves to build safe communities, I recommend you try in very small steps. Either maybe online communities or group therapy sessions, just trying and taking risks with people. Which brings me to my third step to building perseverance is by taking calculated risk. Now, of all of the steps, this requires the most practice in small steps. Taking a risk can introduce a beneficial stressor to us or a unique struggle to us. For me, I'm an introvert. People wear me out. I know. And I need to recharge for at least a weekend. Despite that, I love public speaking. I love expressing what I'm passionate about to an audience of people who are willing and open to learn. I love crafting a narrative with my speech because no two audiences need quite the same narrative. It's like a puzzle of sorts. Now, this TED Talk was also a risk. I mean, I knew I could talk for at least 10 minutes. I've talked at conferences before. I knew I could do this, and this formatting wasn't even all that unfamiliar. But I knew that it was my first time having a talk that can be posted online. And that came with risk. Putting myself out there online is scary. But it also meant I had a chance to reach people online, even if it was just one person who heard my talk. I could change the world. Now, perseverance can be learned. It began with mindfulness. It began becoming aware that I was having severe symptoms, to my mom passing away, to my stepdad passing away. At first, I was in denial. It meant that I had yet another tally mark against me, that I was broken in some way. But the more I became mindful of my reactions, the more the symptoms gradually lessened. And by building a community, I attended everything on campus, every event, every orientation, every group therapy session on campus. And over a year, I created a very small-knit community that acknowledged my severe reactions with love and acceptance. And it was through their love that I was able to love myself and also to grow as a person. I now take calculated risk in my everyday life. It began with acknowledging that I'm not a burden. I'm not a person with just struggles. And at first, I grieved that. I identified with that for so long. Who was I if I wasn't a burden? But gradually, through mindfulness, building a community, and taking calculated risks, I realized that I am more than just my struggles. I am my triumphs, and I am my dreams. Thank you.